Hello and welcome to another episode of Tilted Pod. I'm your host Seth, don't call me Jack Wilds, and I'm sitting here with Mac and Mac.
Chicka, yeah, chicka, oh.
Chicka want, chicka yeah. You sound like what's his name? From Superbad. Come on, Fogel.
Yeah,
Fogel.
McLovin.
McLovin, yeah. Yeah, right on, McLovin. That's your new MacLovin.
Yeah, McLovin, I like it.
You're
Let's
MacLovin from now on. Okay, what's
McLovin.
going on? We are here to talk about Magic because Magic is a fun game. We've just been playing a whole bunch of Magic just now, and if you didn't know, this is a modern-heavy podcast, like almost exclusively modern. Sometimes we do some other stuff, so welcome if this is your first time, and if it's not, thank you for coming back. We had a lot of Magic this weekend, Mac.
A lot.
It was GP Vegas. Mm-hmm. That's a huge deal.
That's like the tournament.
That's the big, yeah. That's like essentially the Magic Con.
Yeah,
you
basically.
know? It's the closest to a con I think we have. Besides, like, I guess they did the Wizards, or not Wizards, but
the
Hasbro Con.
Well, there's Star City Games Con that they're doing now too in Virginia.
Right. I don't think that's the same though, right? But yeah,
It's definitely not as big.
But yeah, they're trying to make it like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, GP Vegas is an event that lasts like 4 days. It is 2 GPs
Basically.
in one day, and then like tons and tons and tons of side events,
And a million vendors.
and every vendor, and
artists,
and
from
every artist that can come,
everywhere.
every content creator besides us, and like just. It seems awesome. It's in Vegas. You know, Magic people like to gamble, it seems like. And like to get in a little bit of debauchery, you know,
Yeah.
like just really get after it. So the GPs, instead of like, normally I'm pretty sure it's like a legacy GP, a modern GP, and maybe a limited as well. But this year they just did limited, Dominaria limited,
Yep.
and modern. So we're going to specifically talk about the modern because we're going to talk about the special draft they did at the end of the event just a little bit. But
Because it was fun.
we're specifically going to talk about modern. But we're going to start this week out like we do every week and talk about what we've been doing. Mac, what have you done?
Let's see. I've been working a lot. Magic-wise, I went to F&M and I played Modern. I went 3-1 with a new version of Taking Turns that I'm playing, which is Mono Blue with Tempest Jin and Nick the Shrine to Nyx.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So far, I like it a whole bunch.
Yeah, we kind of, I mean, you made it, but we kind of worked on some whatever, some choices.
Some brewing.
Yeah, and it was good. I think you did really well with it, and was kind of actually surprised the first iteration of the deck really kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, it
clicks.
is just our F&M, which isn't like the most competitive F&M, but it's not the least.
Yeah.
So everybody's there to have a good time, and sometimes there's some strange decks going on, and sometimes people are more, talkative than playing.
Yeah.
But we're still playing like tier decks. You know?
Absolutely. I think there's only I think there's normally only one person in the room who's not playing a tier deck.
Right. So who'd you lose to? Oh, that was me, right? Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Who'd you lose to?
Hi, dude. Hi, dude. My name's Brad. Who'd you lose to? Douche. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I'm the Brad in the room, and I was a douche, and I thwarted him.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, it was the one match where I was just like getting poopy hands, like just I'm gonna call it bad beats, but that's just me.
Okay. Well, no one wants to hear bad beat stories, dude.
No.
No one does.
But
I
anyway.
also, I could say it was good beats for me because
right?
I kind of just drew the nut every time. But that's what my deck does.
Yeah.
Because I just mulligan all the time.
Yeah, you just like, all of a sudden my deck is 30 cards.
Yeah, so I'm mulligan.
And here's a smasher on turn 3.
Did you do anything else?
Not really. I've been fishing a bit, and just doing stuff around the house, hanging out with my wife, man.
Cool, man. We love hanging out with wives and girlfriends and kids and all kinds of things and friends and family and whatever you got to do. Also, it was Father's Day, so, that was cool. Yeah, so I also went to that F&M, like we said.
I wonder how it went.
Yeah, I went 3-1 as well, though.
Yeah.
I lost in the finals to what is it called?
Eldrazi
Eldrazi Tron, which I knew if I had to play, I would lose because
would be bad.
I am playing a deck that right now my record with, up until the PTQ, which we're going to get over, was, what was it? Something like 19-3.
Yeah, something crazy. The first time you messaged me, you were like, "Dude, I'm 10-0."
Yeah,
I'm 10-0 right now with this deck.
So I was like we were talking about what we were going to play. I think I talked about it on the podcast last week that never came out, which will come out as a bonus episode.
Whoops.
But
Sorry.
that was my bad. But I was talking about playing colorless Eldrazi instead of Eldrazi Tron. And instead of Affinity, because I think everybody's kind of ready for Affinity and ready for these artifact decks. I was wrong. But I thought colorless Eldrazi, I thought Chalice might have a comeback right now. I think it's really good against the control decks, and I thought Jeskai, with it being on the rise, and then with Mardu being on the rise, it's really good against Mardu. So I was like, I'm going to play that Serum Powder version. Yeah. So I really went deep on trying to find, like, Jordan Boyce from Modern Nexus is the guy who kind of made it super popular. So I went like into the Salvation. I like built the deck. I already had all the cards and paper. We played a couple games, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try Mana Traders out. $34 a month, and I can get this deck and just rent it whenever I want instead of just paying $200. And if I don't like it, it's just $34
exactly
for 1 month. So I do it. Take it through my first league, 4-1, like an easy 4-1. I lose to Elves, which is like, okay. No, first league
it makes
I
sense,
lost
because that's kind of like one of your worst matchups.
Yeah, first league I lost a dedicated Blood Moon deck. And it was dedicated Blood Moon, Blue Moon. So they had it wasn't even the Blood Moons; it was the Ceremonies Rejections.
Yeah, a bunch of permission and
because I couldn't double cast.
That's
it was just too hard.
Kryptonite, really.
Right. And so that was kind of a bummer. But I was like, that was my fifth match in the thing, so I was like 4-1, losing my last one. I was like, all right, sweet. All right, open up a Horizon Canopy in my prize packs. Which or treasure chests. Obviously, don't open up these treasure chests because when I get later on, it's just awful. But I did open that up. Kind of kept me going. So I play one more. Make it all the way through again. In the fifth round, I lost to Elves. And I was like, all right, that matchup seems abysmal. Really I mean, it was awful. Like, he killed me with a... What's the not Merit Lage, but the 9/7 flying
the Westvale Abbey.
Yeah, he killed me with the Westvale Abbey game one and so just rocked me. The only thing that stinks is like I almost played a Ghost Quarter, but I was like, what am I going to have to Ghost Quarter this turn? I have one extra mana floating, and then he drops Westvale Abbey, activates it, and if I would have had it Ghost Quarter, it would have been over.
So what version of Elves was it?
It was black green.
Black. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
which I actually think is the better one right now. Well, it's the one I like more. It just like he collected company into two the pink damage elves. One great I can't the name
the black green
escapes me. The black green, the 3/2 for 3 mana that drains your life, and he might as well have comboed me. You know what I mean? Like if you just go like elf. And then collected company, bam. And then you just hit them for 10.
Is that what it was about 10? Like 10 to 14 probably?
Oh, yeah. When he doubled me, I think it was like game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I played that. I put the deck up for a day, and I was like, dude, I think this deck has actually got some legs, dude. I think this is good. Like, this is better than I've ever done with Eldrazi Tron even. And especially just starting out. So then I picked it up the next day. Yeah, put it down for a day, came back, jumped on a league. All these are competitive leagues, mind you. Go my first ever 10-0, like 5-0, 10-0. Like, didn't drop a game in a competitive league. Played nothing but good deck, like nothing but like Juns and, Jeskais and like everything was a deck, like a high meta deck. Humans, Crack Clan Ironworks. Like, it was like a legit league. I didn't get any free wins, but I was just rolling,
Crushing it.
Everything felt good. So I was like, got to go play F&M with this deck. Went to F&M, went 3-1, played a bunch in practice rounds. I mean, it was just nothing, nonstop. So there was a modern PTQ on Sunday, Father's Day, and I was like, I'm going to play in this modern PTQ because right now this deck is going too hot. Sign up for that. Get down there. Guess what happens? KCI first. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of KCI this weekend everywhere. So, Crack Can Ironworks. I was like, I beat this matchup before. And I don't know if it was if I was just like not in the mood to actually play that Sunday. But I lost in a really close 3 with him having 13 seconds left in his timer. He did basically an infinite worm coil loop. I won game 1.
Okay.
Off the back of like a chalice and just smashing him with mimics and smashers.
Yeah.
And then game 2, he was able to drop a Worm Coil Engine really fast. And I had him dead on board. And till he Ancient Stirred into his second Worm Coil engine.
Yeah.
So it was like, I mean, that's what his deck does, but
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to play the second one.
Yeah.
So game 3, I'm like, all right, Chalice is going to be really good now that I'm on the play. Everything's going to be fine. But for some reason, I decided to Chalice on 2 instead of 1 because I didn't look the deck up and didn't look at their only way out of it
Yeah.
was natural selection. Or not natural selection. What is the we can't remember.
The 1 mana one
Yeah,
that lets you gain 4,
Nature's
right?
Claim.
Yeah.
Nature's Claim. Thank you.
I love how we know
We
the
know
text.
yes, but I'm having the worst time remembering names for some reason. That's kind of bad when you're talking on a show. But anyways, I drop a Sorcerer's Spyglass, name Engineered Explosives, and then instead of dropping a Chalice for 1, which would have shut off almost every relevant card in his deck, I say Chalice for 2 because I know he has a 2-drop in his hand. And I'm worried about the Mirror Enforcer loop.
Yeah.
And it was the wrong play. He was able to like blow up my Sorcerer's Spyglass, then Engineered Explosives, everything else. And it was just, I just messed up. Yeah, I just messed up and I knew it. Played against Bushwhacker Zoo next, beat that. Played against, I don't even remember. I ended up going 2 and 3. So it was like really bad. Yeah. Like I played against nothing but combo decks except for Bushwhacker Zoo.
Which is kind of what really kills your deck.
Well, I maybe that, but I also think like, no, okay, the 2 games I won were Bushwhacker Zoo and Burn.
Yeah.
The other 3 were combo decks.
Yeah.
So it was Crackling Ironworks, Storm, which Storm just had the turn 3 both games, and it was really
brutal.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Like, he played through a Thought Knot Seer on turn 2 and just killed me.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was really good. And I don't remember what the other one was that killed me, but it was a combo deck of some sort, and I just lost. I mean, I felt really bad. Like, it just wasn't playing well, I don't think, and my deck wasn't the right deck. At the end of that day, looking now at the results, I guess we can go straight into that PTQ. The results are super interesting for that tournament.
So in first, under the pilot Daryl Ayers, you have Amulet Titan, or I guess not first, but the 8-0 slots.
Yeah, Daryl Ayers, who is a really good lands player, also a big time Amulet Titan player. Yeah, did not expect to see this deck doing so well.
It's interesting. You have 2 black-green decks.
Yeah, these black-green decks, though, are a black-green infect.
Which is very interesting. Both of them are the black-green infect?
Yep. So these people knew what they were doing. So black-green infect, if you haven't seen it, it's been popping up in some 5-0s instead of the blue-green infect. But it's got Phyrexian Crusader in it, which is a black, and it's got protection from red and from white. Yeah. So if Jeskai is super big, this is a way better version against Jeskai.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also very good against Mardu Pyromancer, etc., etc. It also has first strike, so it kind of like gets through creatures.
Plus, it's really cool because you get a splash of removal that's not Dismember, so you have Fatal Push, and then on top of that, you have good interaction in the form of Inquisition and Thoughtseize.
Yeah, Inquisition, and then you got Thoughtseize in the sideboard, so your combo matchup becomes a little bit better. But your combo matchup with like KCI and these slower combo decks is already good because they're not interacting with you, and you're just gonna get them. They also are playing just more no, actually, it's still just the 12 creatures. No, that is more.
They threw in Phyrexian Crusader.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you got Plague Stinger, Glistener Elf, and Phyrexian Crusader. So you have a whole extra 4 infect creatures, which gives your deck a little bit more consistency.
I wonder why the one of Birds of Paradise.
I think they just really want to get their Phyrexian Crusader out on turn 2 if possible. Lands, you're looking at Forest. I like the Hashtep Oasis that they have in the land slot. Your 4 Ink Moss, your 4 Misties, 3 Overgrown Tombs, 1 Pendlehaven, 1 Swamp, 4 Catacombs. You got to be able to power out those Become Immenses. Sideboard, you've got a Sylvan Scrying, which I think is a super cool idea because you can like Sylvan Scrying up in these like grindy matchups for your Ink Moth and just kind of kill them. Scavenging Ooze, Thoughtseize, Nature's Claim, Inquisition, Grafdigger's Cage, Fatal Push, and Dryad Arbor, and then 1 Viridian Corruptor in case. I really like the list. I used to think this list was much worse, but I think right now it's better since Gitaxian Probe isn't around.
Well, it's a lot more resilient, too.
Yeah, so Jose Cabezas and Rhinoceros both made or 8-0 with that list. We got a Blue Moon list that 8-0'd. The Blue Moon list is like a Thing in the Ice Snapcaster list, right? Which I think most are now.
Yeah, well, we have a player on our store or at our local game store that actually just recently got on this. He was on Mono Blue Tron for a long time, and he's playing this, and I played against him on Friday, and this deck is super cool. It's super fun. His matchup doesn't line up well against Taking Turns, unfortunately, but as far as the deck goes, it was great.
Yeah, I think the deck is really good.
It did well at the Pro Tour, too.
The fact that you're running a Braids, I think, are really good.
Modern one.
Smell Snare is pretty good right now. Sleight of Hand is just, whatever, a one of Burst Lightning. You've got this burn package, a small burn package with Snapcaster. Thing in the Ice can just flip and kill somebody. You got Jason Mind Sculptor, which I'm sure is a house in this deck. Cool cards like Harvest Pyre too, which is it's a pretty sweet card. I only ever see it in this deck, but it's a good card.
Yeah, well, when you're playing so many spells, because you're aiming to go long, obviously,
right?
And over the course of the game, you're just filling up your graveyard, and you're inherently wanting to be casting spells to flip Thing in the Ice, so you know that you're always going to have fuel for Harvest Pyre.
Exactly. So we also have some Dredge making 8-0, and we have some Dredge in 7-1. So this tournament was pretty good for Dredge as well. This is kind of the deck list, but this one was piloted by Alplinko.
Plinko.
But it's the Scourge Devil with the Shriekhorn list and 20 lands.
And this is the version that I like.
Yeah, this is the version I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
And, I kind of think the Dampening Sphere might actually be taking up with some of these other lists going around. This deck is also playing Dampening Sphere. I feel like if I had Dampening Sphere in my sideboard in these last matchups, it would have been pretty good against KCI and Storm. And I don't remember the other combo deck I played, but that would have been good too. So Dredge. So these are all relatively. Amulet Titan and Blue Moon aren't so much aggro decks, but Black Green Dredge and Black Green Infect are definitely fast aggro decks.
And then you got two burn decks.
And then I know Jose Cabezas lost to Riser, who is a notable MTGO grinder. I think maybe in the finals. I think Riser actually won this. And this deck is nuts. Goblins.
Yeah.
Just goblins. 4 Fanatical Firebrand. So that's not, Goblin, whatever. Foundry Street Denizen. Goblin Bushwhacker. Goblin Guide. Grim Lavamancer, not necessarily
not
goblin, but still good.
Goblin-ish.
Legion Loyalist.
Goblin.
Burning Tree Emissary. Not goblin, but it enables some really broken turns with Reckless Bushwhacker and Devastating Summons. Goblin Grenades, got 3 of them, and 4 Lightning Bolts. 18 lands. Sideboard, just Flame of the Kill, Dismember, Goblin Chain Whirler, Smash the Smithereens. It's just aggro.
That's interesting because having not looked at this deck list ahead of time, I was curious as to whether Chain Whirler would make it into the 775, and there's 4 in the sideboard.
Yeah, it seems like a perfect spot for the sideboard, but it's not necessary in the main deck
at all. And I think he made a really good call too, because you have these Black-Green Infect decks running around, and you just boom, Chain Whirler.
Yeah,
got him.
Yeah, from the tweets I read from Cabezas, this deck just crushed him. He was like, I killed everybody all day, just went undefeated, and then won the first round, quarterfinals, went into the semifinals or even the finals. I can't remember which one it was, and then he just got ran over by this deck. That Black-Green deck does not pair well against this. So the other red deck by SBIRU is... this is true affinity, which is awesome.
Frogmite.
Yes, this is the contested Warland or Warzone deck.
Oh, it's so cool.
This deck is super cool. It's kind of all in, but I really like it. If you don't know what this deck is, it's contested Warzone is a land that says whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, that creature's controller gains control of contested Warzone, the land. It taps for 1 colorless, and if you pay 1 and tap it, attacking creatures you control get +1/+0. So it's kind of like a battle cry for all your creatures.
Yeah.
You're playing an insane amount of 0 drops. You're 4 Memnites, 4 Ornithopters, more 1 drops with 4 Signal Pests, 2 Bomat Couriers. Your normal, Vault Scourge, Arcbound Ravager, but now you've got some Mirror Enforcers, which are 4/4 for 7 with Affinity. Frogmites, which you can easily play on turn 1.
Yep.
I mean, you can even play a Mirror Enforcer on turn 1.
I really like Bomat Courier in this list a lot.
There's only 12 lands.
It's super interesting that he's playing 2 Chalice of the Void.
Well, he can also just Chalice so fast.
Yeah.
Like, and he can sack his Chalice if he needs to go off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, like, I think there's some decks where Chalice is just worth it to have. You know what I mean? And if he just dumps all the zeros
It just gives
first,
you that extra line of play.
Yeah.
And it's cool because even through Chalice, that's still paying 1 into Mirror Enforcer and Frogmite, which is neat.
Yeah, he can. I think that the cool thing too is like it guarantees him turning on Mox Opal on turn 1. Like even if he just drops all his zeros and he's able to go Chalice for 0, play my Arcbound, eat my Chalice, and then start going off with other things. And then it's just really good sometimes. Sideboard, more dampening spheres, 3 gut shots, 3 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Tormod's Crypts, which are more 0 drops, a mountain just because it's only 18 lands. 12 lands. I'm sorry, 12 lands.
Which is wild, by the way.
And I've played this deck before, and the 12 lands I could never get over, but it's cool.
Yeah. The first Affinity deck that I ever played, and I wasn't really playing competitively, but it was Affinity Atog Fling, and I love that deck so much, and that this is really nostalgic and reminds me of that deck list a lot.
Yeah, this is the true Affinity. We also had, Affinity that we know now coming in 7-1, Black Red Hollow 1, 7-1, a bang load of burn, man. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 burn decks, which I thought was kind of interesting. Another Dredge deck, Grixis Shadow, Jeskai Control ×2, Mardu Pyromancer ×2, and then Tron ×3. Man, this was a big tournament. I think there was like almost 400 people.
Yeah, I don't think you made, like when you were talking about you were expecting to see Jeskai and Pyromancer and everything when you had chose a deck to play, I don't think you made a bad call.
No, I don't think it was bad, but
ones.
I also think that like the super aggro decks were just the way to go.
Yeah.
Because I played, like I said, I just got unlucky in the fact that I played against combo,
Yeah.
and then the burn and aggro decks, which I was fine with the burn and aggro decks. It was just the combo somehow, and I really think it was on me. I definitely think I could have won, especially that KCI. Now looking back on it, I could have won that game. I think it's still a good call.
Yeah, speaking of KCI, here in the PTQ, not much of it.
No, but I think there was a lot of it there. I just don't think. I think people were ready for it, and we'll talk about why we think they were ready for it. It's because at GP Vegas, like we were talking about earlier, KCI kind of crushed it
Big time.
So I don't know. I don't want to down talk anybody who doesn't. I'm sure everyone knows the deck. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you know this deck at this point. But KCI is Kraken Ironworks. It is a 4-mana artifact that if you sacrifice an artifact, you get to add 2 mana to your mana pool. There's a couple cool things about this that make this deck really hard to play and really hard to interact with. Is that it's a mana ability, so there's no you can't respond to it. There's no interacting with it. When they start going off, it's really hard to like figure out when to do stuff.
There are not very many triggers.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a ton of triggers once they're like looping the graveyard,
going for it with Scrap Trawler and all of that.
Yeah, but it's really wild. So it's a deck that plays Mirror Retriever and Scrap Trawler. So Scrap Trawler basically lets you get everything back. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put in the graveyard, you get a return to your hand target artifact card from your graveyard with a lesser converted mana cost. Mirror Retriever says you get to, when it dies, you get to return another target artifact card from the graveyard to your hand. When you sacrifice Mirror Retriever to Kraken Ironworks, you have an infinite loop right there. Yeah. It's already in the graveyard. You've got 2 mana. Its trigger resolves. It sees itself in the graveyard, and you pull itself out.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. I think that's wild. So there's like all kinds of trick plays that I don't know. I also didn't realize there's like the infinite loop of the Wormcoil engines.
Yeah.
Well, the Pyretic Ritual is kind of, or not Ritual,
Pyrite
but
Spellbomb.
Spellbomb is kind of how they just end the game sometimes. but they also, against aggro decks, can just bring in their worm coils, and they can like sack the worm coil and sack the other thing, bring it back, sack it. You're making like, you're netting 1 token each turn, and you can just go infinite.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I lost. You've got Buried Ruins, which helps you get more graveyard synergies. And then everything else in the deck is just like, Chromatic Spheres, Mox Opal. It's just like things that basically generate value.
Yeah. So the whole deck synergizes together really, really well. It's hard to interact with. On top of that, like, they're mainboarding 3 engineered explosives. That just sounds terrible to play against.
And they can get pretty much every color. I mean, they can go all 5 colors easily with Terrarion and Mox Opals. And you're getting, it's more than 3 because you're getting them back every time you sack a 1 if you need it. So you're just blow up the board, blow up the board, blow up the board. It's really crazy. And when they blow up their board, like we saw this we saw Matt Nass beat humans when humans had 4 meddling mages out.
Yeah.
4 meddling mages out in the GP, naming every relevant card in his deck, and Matt Nass was able to blow everything up.
Awesome. On top of all of that, you get to play what is, in my opinion, the most broken card in Modern right now, which is Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, Ancient Stirrings really had a good weekend. There was like 16 in the top 8, right?
Yeah,
maybe more
crazy.
than that.
Yeah.
So Matt Nass won. He beat Mono Green Tron. Tron was Tron. Tron just came here. Like, every time you like, Tron's not good, or we haven't seen Tron in a while. Then people just go, let's cast Ugins and Karns.
It's kind of like Affinity in that way.
Yeah,
everyone forgets about it.
Yeah,
and then it just rolls. Once again, Ancient Stirrings. This list is relatively stock. It's running 4 Oblivion Stones. I don't know if they all run that many.
Pretty much stock. I did see a really interesting list recently that was running no Karns.
Weird.
It was running 3 Ugins and 4 Worm Coil engines, but no Karns. I liked it, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good in all those aggro matches that were coming to try to fight your,
just be way faster.
Yeah, and it also was running, since it wasn't running Karns, its 7-drop spot was All Is Dust. So you're getting All Is Dust mana really fast, and instead of just dropping a Karn, blowing up one of your things, it's just like All of Dust your board that you just went wide on.
Follow it up.
Or then Ugin you, and then, like, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was a neat take on Tron. I don't know if it's better or worse, but
I like that they're paying 1 Field of Ruin. I think that's cool.
Yeah, they got to get their force somehow.
I'm kind of. It's interesting that maybe not so much in this particular build since it's mono green Tron. I kind of was thinking that maybe the big Tron decks would start into the Scryland kind of thing that Eldrazi got recently.
Yeah, I just think that their mana base is so tight already. They're trying to fit in these 1s and 2s already, and I think the Scryland really helps in multiples. You know what I mean? And they also, I'm not fetching or doing anything. They're searching their deck a lot. I think that's why it doesn't work as well. Where in my deck, or in the colorless Eldrazi deck, that's the only way I'm manipulating the deck. So
you hardly ever
they
shuffle.
become much better, which is another reason why I love playing that deck. I don't have to shuffle at all, present my deck to cut. Let's talk about Ben Friedman, 40-card Friedman, just showing up with Death Shadow, and the deck that everyone's like, this deck is terrible, you shouldn't play this deck is awful. And it's like traditional Death Shadow, and he just kind of crushes it. Yeah, he said Mishra's Bauble was really good. I don't know what else to say. That he killed it. I like his deck.
I like it too. Sideboard options, 2 Collective Brutality. I think that's cool. Liliana Last Hope. Is it normal nowadays for there to be no Liliana the Veil in the list at all?
Yeah, I think so.
Have they?
I mean, I don't.
Pretty well moved away from that card.
I just don't think it's that great in the Grixis version. I think it's better in the maybe the 4-color and the band, or not band, like Sultai / 4-color versions.
Yeah.
The ones that go a little bit bigger, but I think this is kind of a sleek deck. I mean, 17 lands, baubles. The biggest thing to me here is like he's playing Faithless Looting, which I really like in this deck now too. Because it just helps him with his selection since he's not really playing that many creatures.
Yeah.
And then I like the fact that he's no longer running even 3 Fatal Pushes. It's 1 Fatal Push and then 3 Lightning Bolts, which is so much better, it seems like. you know,
Yeah.
and then double dismember. Like, he needs to kill things that are relevant, and Fatal Push just isn't doing it as much anymore.
Yeah, especially when you have a lot of opponents playing super big creatures, like Hollow One, for example, playing 4/4s and 5/5s. Fatal Push just isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Eldrazi Fatal Push isn't going to do it. Although your Fatal Push is a lot better than Dismember in, for example, your Humans matchups. But when you're playing Death Shadow and Temur Battle Rage, you're not really worried about Humans anyway.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Lightning Bolt can go to like a little surprise my own face and turn my team or Battle Rage on a lot bigger, or just you didn't realize what was going to happen to you.
I kind of dig Faithless Looting over Thought Scour personally.
Yeah, I think though Thought Scour is actually not card disadvantage, and in this deck, since there's not as much stuff coming from the graveyard, it's Thought Scour still a little better, you know. But I do like the searching aspect of.
Yeah, I like being able to sculpt, especially since I've been playing Hollow One. I've found that I really like having the ability to simultaneously dig and sculpt my hand.
I agree completely. I just think in this specific deck, you know, like the wanting to go ahead and get a card back, then. So we also have Martin Yuza, who came to this tournament. This is his 30th top 8. Hadn't been practicing, didn't know Modern. He was like, yeah, I don't really play Modern. So he was just like, I'll just pick up the deck that like I know is good. Had really, like, from what he said, barely ever played Humans. Just top 8s. Just crushes it with like the most stocked list ever. There's nothing like special about this list at all. It's 100% the most stock list. I guess he's got an extra Auriok champion in the side, but other than that,
He's playing one Dark Confidant main board. Is that normal?
That's pretty normal. That's in that flex spot, and it's like pretty normal.
That Malcontent spot.
He's still playing Malcontents. It's like it's like you play like a Dark Confidant, the pirate that flashes something back. I can't remember what that's called now.
We're
so bad with names. The 2-mana pirate,
Daredevil.
Yeah, Direfleet Daredevil, or you play like the Angel. Restoration Angel. Yeah. See, I don't know any names, and I love Restoration Angel. So that's Humans. Then we've got a Bant Company deck, which was kind of interesting, kind of cool too. You know, this guy kind of showed up and just crushed it. He went for like full on combo. He's playing 2 Selfless Spirits, and I think he's even playing more Selfless Spirits in the sideboard.
I actually really, really like this deck. I also like he's playing the 1-of Judge's Familiar, so he like this deck is awesome.
Yeah, he like in his interview, top 8 interview, he was like, okay, the deck is not that good as a value deck. It's way better as just a combo deck. So that's why I'm playing Judge's Familiar, things that can kind of interfere with them more. You know, he's playing the full 4-ofs of everything.
Board presence.
Right, and then like playing the double Selfless Spirit plus another one on the sideboard. You know, he's playing stuff that for Eternal Witnesses, like he really wants to combo. Yeah. That's his goal here, is to combo, not anything else. I really like the deck. I think it's cool. Anything notable in the sideboard besides that?
The cool thing about playing Bant is you get to bring in stuff like Dispel, Disdainful Stroke, Reflector Mage. It like throwing in the third color. So your normal counters company, right? It has one thing in mind. It can beat down or it can combo.
Right.
This takes that even one step further, where now he can start playing a mid-range game with counter spells. He's able to play interaction. He's able to interact with your board bringing in Reflector Mage. He's got Worship in the sideboard, which is kind of hilarious.
Really hard for a lot of decks to beat. Like if you drop a Worship against colorless Eldrazi, I probably can't beat you. You know, like I just can't. I can't deal with all of your creatures. You just stop blocking, and then I'm going to lose. So Worship is one of those cards that is, I mean, against Hollow One even. If it's not for Collective Brutality.
I have no idea.
Collective Brutality is the only way.
That's it, probably.
Yeah. Because you definitely don't have enough removal spells, you know.
No, for sure not. And also, I really have no way to interact with enchantments either. And that's something that's interesting about Modern in general. Is they're outside of green, really. There is not much enchantment interaction that's playable.
Right. I agree. So after that, we've got Jeskai Control by Patrick Tierney. This is the deck that I think everybody expected. This is like the level 1 deck this weekend. Maybe even, nah, it's still level 1, I bet. So this is the 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Path, 4 Serum, 1 Spell Snare, 3 Lightning Helix, 2 Logic Knot, 2 Mana Leak, 2 Electrolyze, 4 Cryptic, 2 Supreme Verdict, 2 Search, and then you got your Teferis and your Snapcasters. Patrick said that Mana Leak was the best card for him all weekend. It overperformed all weekend because everyone expected Logic Knot and just got blown out playing into Mana Leak.
That's hilarious.
I think it's a really good call.
I think Mana Leak's kind of undervalued in general as a card. That's, when I came back into Modern and I was looking at deck lists and talking to people at the shop who have been playing, and I'm like, what about Mana Leak? Because Mana Leak was a big thing when I played in Standard. And they're like, no, dude, Mana Leak's bad. And I just could never get over that, the idea of people not playing Mana Leak. So I like seeing it. I think it's a super good card. He's got 4 Celestial Colonnade.
Yeah, I was about to say that, so I don't like him anymore. But sideboard, he's got some guys, Settle the Wreckage, Wear Tear. Pretty typical, a Ruined Halo. Yeah, this is your normal board. But congratulations to Patrick on that victory and making the top 8 of this big tournament. We've got Ile Cassis, also playing Crack Clan Ironworks. Now, this is kind of the one that I'm putting together right now. I think this deck is going to get banned, though, because it's not very fun to play against, and it's not very, it's hard to interact with, and it makes people getting into the format have kind of a bad time, I think.
It's kind of the same idea with... what was the combo deck that got banned in Modern last? Yeah, it's kind of
very
the same deal
similar
with
to eggs. People do not like people either love decks like this or hate decks like this.
I personally love decks like this.
So this is one of the few combo style decks that I think I'd be interested in playing, and I'm building just because I want to learn it better, and it takes me playing a deck before I can even understand fully what's going on. And 2, I love artifacts, and if anything's colorless, I'm going to try playing it.
Super awesome.
I'm just into that. But his version is a little older with a little splash coolness. So he's playing the same deck, except he's got another alternate win condition in casting an Emrakul.
Which I like that. That was something because the first or the Ironworks combo list that I know in my head are playing the one of Emrakul that they can just kind of go infinite and then slam an Emrakul and just win.
The other thing he's playing is the Antiquities War, which I think is super spicy in the main, because if somebody does have a way to kind of stop you from what you're doing, the Antiquities War is just going to say, all right, I'm just going to load the board with all these artifacts. I'm not even going to sacrifice them.
Yeah.
And then when the Antiquities War goes off, they're all 5/5s, and I'm just going to kill you. I doubt that you're going to be able to deal with this many 1 mana and 0 mana 5/5s.
So ultimately, I think the big difference is this list is a lot less linear, and it's just bringing more win cons to the table.
But he just doesn't have to cut that much, right? So his lands are exactly the same except for 1 Buried Ruin. He's not, he's 1 Buried Ruin down, 1 Aether Hub up. He's got 1 Pyrite Spellbomb instead of 2. But that's okay because he's got other win conditions, so that's not important. The thing that he does have to cut is a Chromatic Sphere, which is the worst one of his poppable artifacts. Yeah. He only has 2 Engineered Explosives. That is, to me, the hardest part or the worst cuttable part.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of want that. And then, but other than that, he just picks him fair. So the other win condition is, I think, really cool too, is Aetherflux Reservoir. So that's what I played against all week. So you have Pyrite Spellbomb, Aetherflux Reservoir, Emrakul, or he doesn't even have Wormcoil Engine on the side, does he? Okay, and Wormcoil. So those are the win conditions I've seen, and I'm sure there's probably other ones.
Yeah.
But
is there a version of this deck that plays War of Invention? Or are they more on the green?
Not that I've seen. I think it's big time green. Yeah, you don't want to worry about because it's almost all colorless. The blue splash is kind of even hard, I bet.
You think?
Yeah, but I mean it's not that hard because you got Mox Opals and you got Terrarions and you've got Chromatic Spheres and Chromatic Spheres, but you also don't want to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think that's why he has to play the extra Aether Hub. It does surprise me that it doesn't have a single Wormcoil in his sideboard. That's really weird to me.
I'm also kind of surprised that he went for Okay, I see now. Because he has red. So he's actually playing 4 colors, 5 colors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The deck is kind of playing
idea.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? I don't I like Matt Nass's deck a little bit better,
Yeah.
but I think when I play it, I am going to play 1 Aetherflux Reservoir. The other thing about this deck though is like it plays 3 Inventor's Fairs, so it gets to find its combo pieces pretty easy. And the Emrakul gets caught off of Ancient Stirrings, but the Emrakul I've just seen like die to. Like also like, I mean, you're probably going to win the game if you cast an Emrakul, but
Well, yeah. I mean, you can take an extra turn.
yeah, it's probably when you love doing that. That's why you want to play Emrakul. I don't know. I'm going to try them all. And figure it out. We got another mono green Tron list by Max Mick. Cool name.
That is a cool name.
It's pretty simple, pretty much a straightforward list. Yep, it is the list, except he's running 1 All Is Dust main.
Which I like that a lot.
I do too, and he's got 5 4s instead of 4. Another Crackland Ironworks in 9th. 10th, we've got Mike Segrist playing Hollow One, who said this deck is just wacky. Hollow One always seems, it doesn't show up in great numbers, but it always has one deck really close to the top.
like in the top 16.
Yeah, like I think pros like and dislike the deck. I think a lot of people are scared of going and being like, I lost to variance all day, and then getting really frustrated.
Yeah.
And then some pros have kind of just given into the fact that it's modern, and basically that's what's going to happen no matter what deck you play. Like, I do agree with them that this, as much as I love modern now, this is probably the least of the, like, testing format. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just lose matches that you just have can't win.
Almost every deck that is relatively popular has the ability to just get free wins.
Yeah.
Or also get hosed by something
deck.
else. And I think that's the beauty of the format.
I like it, but I also dislike it because I do think I think it gives everybody a good shot, but it also like
it makes you feel like rather than getting to rather than going day 2 based off of your skill, you're going day 2 based off your matchups,
which I don't like that very very much.
Yeah. This list is almost exact. The main board is in fact the exact list that I run personally. Big changes are, not really even big changes, but big changes to me, to what I play. In the sideboard, he's running engineered explosives, which I need to be. They're just so dang expensive, man. Right here, 2 engineered explosives, $165.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had 3 exactly to get to pull one out. I had a foil one, too, that is pretty nice.
Ooh, fancy. Fatal Push, Grim Lavamancer, Thought Seize. I like sideboarding Thought Seize. He's down to 2 Ancient Grudges, and then 3 Leyline of the Void, which I still think personally that my choice for Graveyard Hate and Hollow One. I think it's great. I've tried Rakdos Charm. I've even tried Relic. I've tried a bunch of different graveyard stuff. Relic is kind of cool because it draws you a card, which is nice when you're kind of at this card disadvantage, deal, because you're discarding so much stuff. And it's nice to be able to, when your opponent has graveyard synergies also, to be able to Burning Inquiry them and then be like, hi, I got, whatever combo piece, or could be anything.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, man. I think the deck's really good. I'm excited to see how you do with it in Indianapolis.
I'm looking forward to it.
Really regret not just getting Goblin Lores because it's a deck that I would like to just have and be able to play, because it's the type of deck that puts out 4/4s on turn 1, and I like doing that.
Yeah,
so
who doesn't?
And it plays artifacts, at least 4 of them, so it's cool. And then engineered explosives on the side. Some notable cool decks that showed up at this tournament that kind of show you how Modern is still a really diverse format and really cool, and you can play weird decks. We have Thopter Sword showing up, which haven't seen this deck in a really long time. It is the Sword of the Meek Thopter Foundry combo. This is playing like Ensnaring Bridge as well, Crackland Ironworks, 1 Search for Azcanta, just tons of 1-drops and 2-drops, all artifacts. Collective Brutality, Fatal Push, and Whir of Invention. This deck is like a mix between the Salt Mine deck, and then like the old Thopter decks.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lantern Control Shell, but instead of running the Lantern WinCon, you're running the combo,
right?
Which is cool. No Tezzeret though.
In the sideboard, 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
Mardu Pyromancer by Jerry Thompson in 25th. He had a good day with that. We also have an Esper Gifts deck in 29th. And this deck is a Grave Titan Elsh Norn, Jace Mind Sculptor, Teferi. This is like Esper Control with the Gifts / Unburial Rights package. So it's kind of got this weird kind of, I can win real fast against some decks. So if you're playing like against a combo deck, or you're playing against a small creature deck, you can just hopefully Gifts into Unburial Rights for Elsh Norn, or you can just get Grave Titan real fast and start smashing face.
Rather than having to go long every game like Jeskai and Blue-White Control do.
They have an option.
They have the option to like just hose an aggro deck with Elsh Norn.
Interesting choices. I mean, because it's Gifts, you have to run a lot of one-ofs. So you've also got like 1 Peak, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Logic Knot, 1 Negate, 1 Disallow, 1 Lingering Souls, 1 Supreme Verdict, 1 Wrath of God, and then, of course, your Unburial Rights. You've got 25 lands, so it really wants to hit its land drops. And then you also have, like, your paths, your ops, your fatal pushes.
You have 3 Esper Charms.
But the Esper Charms, that's the card that is like kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's super cool actually.
4 Snapcasters for the more value.
4 Cryptics. So I imagine this deck's opening hands are always extremely interesting.
Yeah, I mean I really like Gifts decks, and I think it's kind of cool to see one come back. But that was pretty much your tournament. After that, there was a limited tournament, which we're not going to go over the results. If you want to know those, then listen to Limited Resources or something. I don't know. We're just Dominaria is fun. Go out and draft it in your store, but we don't really know the GP. We're not going to go over all the GP stuff. This just isn't the place for it.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, I'm not the best drafter, so I don't really know that I would listen to me.
Me neither. I just don't listen to us at all. In fact, I don't even know why you're listening to us about Modern, but at least we play it constantly. So there you go. So after that, though, we will talk about a little bit of a draft, and that's the draft that everybody wants to talk about, which is the beta draft, which there's a couple things that I thought went wrong with this beta draft.
What's that?
The thing that I thought went wrong with it is that, one, it was awesome, but then they cut away from the awesomeness to go back to the top 8 of GP Dominaria draft, which I understand. Those people worked really hard to get to the top 8.
They played all day. They played something like I think Rich Hagan was telling chat, because chat was going crazy because they weren't on the beta draft, and Rich is like, listen. Yesterday, these guys played Magic for something like 13 hours. Yeah. And then day 2, they've been playing for 10. Yeah. And it's 12:30 at night, West Coast. So I was up watching the finals match for the limited event at like 3 in the morning here.
Yeah, it was so frustrating. Like, I just wanted to see the beta stuff, but you just couldn't get to it because of the... But I definitely understand. And say that's your first GP and you top 8'd. You probably want to be on camera too. Like, you probably want that what comes with it, and like
no one wants to be overshadowed by
these pros who got to do
beta cards.
Yeah,
saying that out loud, I can't help but giggle because it's so awesome. But
at the same time, though, how often are we going to get to see a beta draft? Like, there's going to be one more, but how? It's not like this is going to happen that often.
No, eventually the packs will run out, the cards will be gone. Well, not gone. They'll be amongst the community, but like you said, this isn't going to happen for forever.
And it was really interesting. So the draft itself was a Rochester draft, which I'd never done before. So it was kind of interesting watching it. I've heard now, looking it up after that, it's actually a very difficult way of drafting.
What, Rochester drafting? Yeah, it's
because
super hard.
People can hose you really bad, and they can, like, it's apparently very hard. Yeah. Especially the person who goes first. The other thing is, like, we saw a ton of lands getting opened, beta lands, which is cool. Some packs as much as 6 lands, and then we saw, but we did see a beta. Well, obviously they're all beta, but we saw a Mox Emerald, which is super sick. That was the big money card, and we saw an Underground Sea, which was awesome. And these are pristine. Awesome. I mean, I'm talking they're wearing gloves. Yeah, people are cheering and getting pumped. We saw a Time Vault. That was sweet. That's like a $10,000 card.
What like when I tuned in and it was late and I sit down and I'm watching the limited GP and then because until I started watching I didn't realize that there was a beta draft and I got super excited. And then the first match came on, and I can't remember who was playing, but they played and activated a Jade statue, and I was like, it just made my belly go all fuzzy.
I got all giddy. Yeah, man. I think it was cool. Okay, so our eventual winner got like a 20 playable deck.
Yeah,
right?
which is insane.
Yeah, he only had to play like 17 lands. He went ahead and like threw in like 3 more cards that were like kind of
something like
question.
10 1-drops.
Yeah, and he had like double pestilences,
Which is rather
terrors
unheard of in a format like this.
I mean, I think what happened was he just didn't. Whenever it was his
caught
turn,
up in the
Yeah,
excitement.
like he wasn't grabbing too many lands that were $25, $30 lands a pop, and LSV, who really wanted to win and made it to the finals, but he was defeated because his deck was okay.
Yeah.
But like there was like another guy there who apparently said he didn't even have a playable. Like he was just
one.
he was like I can't. I don't have a deck at all.
I felt bad for LSV because over the years watching his stream and watching him do so many like vintage cubes and stuff like that, I feel like he was meant to win the beta draft.
Yeah.
Which was disappointing for me. And now, to be fair, his deck was good, and his opponent's deck was also very good.
His opponent's deck was just the best deck by far.
But it's not only that, but it's his deck did not line up well at all.
Right. It didn't at all. But I thought it was really cool. So so they won at $2,500.
Yep.
And an alpha starter deck.
Set. Yep.
Which is, I think, what is that value?
They're like 15 to 20,000. Yeah, which is insane.
So do you open it or do you sell it?
I mean, how many times do you get to open a
Never.
starter?
I mean, never again. You won't ever again. You open it?
Yeah.
What if you just?
How much did you pay to get in the tournament?
I don't know. I don't know what they pay. And
I think that it was like $50 to get into a qualifier, and then you have to win the qualifier.
Yeah.
Which was on day 1, and then day 2 this thing started.
Speaking of, like, Martin Yuza, so it was like Ben Stark, Martin Yuza, LSV, a bunch of other people who were like kind of known but not like super known. It wasn't like there wasn't that many no names in there, and obviously these people were all good to win qualifiers and get into it. It wasn't like they were undeserving at all.
Yeah.
Everybody who was there deserved it. But Martin Yuza top 8 of the modern one and got into this. He was playing like double
days though, right?
I thought he was double queuing.
Was he?
Yeah.
So he's playing in the modern, finishing a match, and then going
and trying to go queue. I think that's what they were saying.
That's wild.
Like somebody did that back at a pro tour, not like a while back too. They were like playing a pro tour and it was like when they put pro tours with other tournaments and then trying to win something. I don't know.
Well, because I heard
I could be completely wrong.
When they were talking about it, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Ben Stark or whoever. Said that they specifically did not play in any GPs just so they could qualify for this,
right?
For the beta draft.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know.
But back to what I was saying. You pay $50 to get in a qualifier. You win the qualifier. You get first, and you win $2,500. So boom, you're already up. $2,450. And then you get this essentially for free.
Yeah.
You get it essentially for free. You open it.
But what if you just get like nothing?
I mean, if you want to like pay off your car.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's like this is that same conversation we've been having. It's that people are getting priced out of, these type of formats, and I don't know. If you could get like a guaranteed, and because it's like the one that was won and it's been in the Wizards vault unopened,
like what
if you can get like a
Lotus,
guaranteed like 20,
what if you open the Lotus?
It's less than the guaranteed 20,
I
right?
Guess.
I don't know what an Alpha Lotus is anymore, but I don't.
You mean a Beta Lotus?
No, the Alpha set. I'm talking.
Oh, it was an Alpha starter.
It's Alpha starter.
Whoa! I think Alpha Lotus is like $30,000.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that super fast. There's also, outside of all the other stuff that we've been talking about, if we have time, there are some new Core 19 spoilers, which are cool.
Yeah, we can run through the spoilers real quick, and then we're going to probably wrap it up for the week. But there's a couple spoilers that are interesting.
Alpha Lotus price. The same card sold for $27,302 on eBay last year. Currently an ultra rare beta. Blah 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 blah. There's a beta deck Black Lotus on an auction site. This is some old news. Anyway, 100 grand, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's just check MTG Goldfish. They'll give me the real what's up. The highest price is $16,000 on Goldfish.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, I guess you're right. If you get the guaranteed,
it depends.
20,
If you want like I'm just saying like $20,000 is, I mean, so much money. You know what I mean? Like that is so much money to somebody.
It is.
And I feel like that's just a guarantee. It's not like if you're going to get to play these cards that much. I mean, if you're a true collector and you're not hurting for money at all, then yeah.
Then
open it or hold on to it and maybe see how much it grows. But for somebody even like me, and it's not like I'm, I'm fine, financially, but I could use that much money. I would sell it that quick.
Want 15
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool, man. Anyway, we got some spoilers. We got some Core 19 spoilers, and there are some good ones. And they're coming in, by the hour. So if you haven't been checking them, go hop on and, check every couple of hours they pop up. The full spoiler is not out yet. Some notable, interesting cards. This one is new. I haven't seen it. 2 colorless amulet of safekeeping. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1. On top of that, creature tokens get -1/-0. So this is kind of a cool little standard tax piece. This is kind of a cool tax piece for anything really.
weird deck, weird thing. Good against pyromancers.
Yeah, super.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's anything special. Nothing like, I could be wrong, but I doubt that is like a relevant
You got
spell.
a 5-mana board wipe and Cleansing Nova. Bone Dragon. This art on this card is super cool. The card is not very good. It's a mythic 2 black, 3 colorless flyer. You can pay 5 or 3 and 2 black and exile 7 cards to return it to the graveyard. From the graveyard to the battlefield tab is 5/4. But the art on this card is beautiful. That's something I've really been digging with Dominaria and going into looking at these Core 19 cards. Is they're really doing a great job on the art recently.
Yeah, I'm into the art. I'd say notable cards though. We've got Elvis Clan Caller, which is a 2 mana other elves or lord, and then you can pay 6 and tap it and search for another one. I think this might replace Elvish Visionary in Modern Elves.
Yeah, it's possible.
Just like a nice 2-drop that...
Well, it's like, because then you're running, 8 lords rather than just the 4 archdruids?
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I think that this is just a better card than, for the most part. It replaces itself eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You got an Omniscience reprint, so if you didn't sell those, sorry for you.
Yeah, Omniscience reprint, which I think is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It'll be fun and
This
standard.
is a card I have not seen. Goreclaw, Terror of Qualsima. It's a legendary creature bear for 4 mana. It's a 4/3. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. Whenever Goreclaw, Terror of Qualsima attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 against trample until end of turn. So it's kind of like a... It's like a... It's like a ferocious bear mechanic.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good with Thought-Knot Seer.
Yeah, it is.
Like, jump out Goreclaw and then cast a couple of those Thought-Knot Seers, then make them 5/5s and
Yeah,
trample.
so it's a 4/3 that's also an Eldrazi temple.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Basically.
It can be, yeah. It's not as good because you can't cast this on turn 2, but this might be an interesting card to
might pop up somewhere.
look at. Mm-hmm. There's Sirach the Dragon Claw or whatever that gives creatures haste and with the ferocious mechanic, and now that's only going to cost 2.
That's cool.
And then it gives other 4/4s too. Like, I feel like there's some really sick turns.
And it's kind of like a built-in overrun too, which is neat.
Yeah, the fact that they get trample is really sweet.
Yeah, super relevant. They they didn't reprint, but they printed a new Chromium, which is a flavor win if you follow Magic lore. So that's pretty cool. Mistcaller is a new merfolk, a 1 blue, 1/1 sacrifice Mistcaller. It's a merfolk wizard. Until end of turn, if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. So this is super relevant in Legacy for Legacy merfolk.
I mean, it's relevant in Modern too. I mean, there's a lot of things that put creatures into the battle, like Collected Company decks.
Yeah.
Like, see ya. Collected
Aether
Company,
Vial.
I'm just going to kill it. Yeah,
got
Aether
humans.
Vials. There's plenty of ways that this hoses decks.
Yeah.
There's two. Okay, so there's also Escape Shift reprint, which I don't think is going to do that well. There's also a.
You mean in Standard? You don't think it's going to do too
Yeah, I
well?
just don't think. I love the reprint, love the art. Don't think it's going to be important in Standard.
You don't think it'll be cool for like the desert decks that are like
don't-
the Desert Hour Promise decks?
No, because they still need their lands. You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to get?
Nothing.
They're just going to get. They're just going to sack lands and put more land. I guess they're going to thin their
I mean,
deck.
there's like deserts that when you sack it and you have another desert or whatever, you get zombies and stuff. So there could be some cool interactions that we're not seeing.
I don't think it's huge, but maybe they'll be printing something that makes this a little bit better. I think they just really needed a good reprint, and this is the best way to do it. The other card that I think we're going to have a little discussion on before we leave is Alpine Moon, because I have friends that are freaking out about this deck or about this card, and I've read quite a bit on this of like people's opinion on this card. I personally, I'll read the card. Alpine Moon is 1 red mana for an enchantment that as Alpine Moon enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. So Urza's Tower,
Eldrazi Temple.
Eldrazi Temple, whatever. Lands your opponent's control with the chosen name lose all land types and abilities, and they gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. So they become, whatever, any mana. I don't rainbow lands. They become rainbow lands, but they don't have their name or ability. So play it against Tron, they can no longer get Tron. But they're getting a land that can tap for anything.
Yeah.
Play it against, I just don't know if it's that good.
It's like-
Valakut, I guess it's good against Valakut.
It's a pseudo Blood Moon that does not require. Okay, so the first big thing is they printed it in a way that the land that you're naming, like, it doesn't have to be on the battlefield, so you can name anything. Like, if you know the matchup, if it's game 2, you're good, right? And it only costs 1 red. I think that's the big thing. I think that's, if it's going to be good, that's what makes it good, is the fact that you can play it so soon and it doesn't tax your own board.
Like, I guess you can stop manlands with it. So,
Yeah.
like, Raging Ravines or whatever. But that's not... I mean, I just don't feel like that's that good.
I don't think that's worth a sideboard.
Yeah, I don't see this card being a sideboardable card.
I mean, I could probably dig playing this in the sideboard of Hollow One, to
Really?
be honest. I already played Blood Moon.
But I think Blood Moon is so much better.
But this is just easier for me to cast, because it's at such a lower curve.
That's true, but Blood Moon comes in against Grix's... Death Shadow.
And
Blood Moon comes in against Jeskai Control.
Yeah, and
what
it
are you
just
going
shuts
to do?
his decks down a lot of the time.
What do you Alpine
Moon
that's not
doesn't
going to do
do
anything.
anything.
It's
No.
going to turn off their celestial colonies, and they're going to actually get better mana now. So, like, I
feel like I kind of see both sides.
Blood Moon does so much more.
But it costs 3.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, you don't, would you want a Blood Moon that costs 1? I mean, that would be awful.
In the format, no.
That would be awful.
I would sell all my cards and quit playing today.
Yeah, that would be a terrible, terrible choice. I don't know. I think that this card is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think it's going to be a huge flop like Blood Sun. I just don't think it's going to be that good. In Legacy, you can stop, like, Thespian Stage. You can stop...
Dark Depths.
Yeah, does it still retain the name at all? Okay, so
No.
does it
lose all land types and abilities?
So land types and abilities, but it has the same name.
Yes, but it has the text that says it becomes a 2020 disappears. Has no abilities.
So what happens when you Thespian Stage it?
Nothing, because it's just a land with no land types or abilities.
Okay, so do you still get Tron?
I think.
So then if you
I
get
don't know.
Urza's
I
Tower,
don't think so,
Urza's
because-
Mine, Urza's Power Plant?
No, because it loses all abilities. It then
No, so
everything
it
that's
still
on the
taps for
card.
1.
Everything that's on the card is replaced with tap, add 1 mana of any color.
What I'm saying is Urza's Mine
Yeah.
says if you have Urza's Tower and Urza's Power Plant,
Yeah.
this taps for 2.
Yeah.
So does that mean if you name Urza's Tower with that and they play a tower, tower only taps for 1 of any color
But
now,
do the other-
but
do you
the
get
other
Tron
2
on
still
the-
tap for,
I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
because then it's like
Then it's
really
not,
bad.
Yeah, it's not even. It's worthless.
It's like, okay, so what? Now I just have Eldrazi temples, and like you thought you stopped me. It just doesn't, like, Blood Moon's not even good against Tron, really. I just
Yeah.
don't see it being a huge hoser. I think Blood Moon's just a much better if you need that kind of effect. Valakut is the thing that I can say is like the best, but I just don't know.
I'm reading the comments on the spoiler site. Someone said, "Seems pretty powerful against Tron. Stop them and gives them mana to Nature's Claim."
yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. Like, let's just turn on your green mana instantly.
Super funny. I don't know. It remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
I don't know.
I don't
Okay,
think
so
it'll be
this
good,
one
but-
guy says that that yes, it does. Tron goes off subtypes, not off of the others.
Okay.
Off of the name on the top, but I just don't know, dude.
Probably not going to do well.
I just don't think it's going to be that good, and I know that I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I doubt anyone at home cares, but they reprinted Magistrate's Scepter, which is from Mercadian Masks. I think that's super cool. This is a super flavorful card, and it makes you take extra turns, so I really like it. Ooh, the new Soul Sisters card, too.
The angel,
I know we're running short on time, guys. I'm sorry, hang in there, but there's a new Angel for Soul Sisters, and I think it's going to be super good.
Actually, I think this card is going to be very good. It's 3 mana 2/2, right?
3 mana 3/3.
3 mana 3/3 with flying.
At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance.
So it's got like that Angelic Accord.
Yeah, it's like the
enchantment thing.
Yeah, except on a body, on a flying body. And then on top of that, you can tap 3 and 3 white until end of turn. Respelled Angel, that's the name of the card, by the way, gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. So it becomes a 5/5 lifelink that also hands you a 4/4 in your end step for 6 mana.
I think this card's going to be valuable. I might not even see that much play right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be valuable, though, because people like Commander people are going to
Yeah,
like this
super
card. And
gonna-
like
yeah, totally.
Angels are always worth a lot of money for some reason. And this one's really not bad. I mean, a 3/3 flyer for 3 that has an ability that, you can play that in a lot of decks.
I mean, I think they're really trying to make Angel Tribal a thing in Standard, because you've got this Angel, you've got Lyra Dawnbringer, you've got the Shalai, the 4-drop. So there's your curve right there. You got the 3-drop Respelled Angel into the 4-drop that
Shall I?
she's a 4-drop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she also taps for 6 to give all your dudes +1/+1.
Yeah.
And then you go into Lyra, so that curve feels pretty strong.
It does, but they're all legendary.
True. So
So-
that makes deck building a challenge. I think the last thing I'm going to say is alongside the Scape Shift reprint, we also have a Crucible Worlds reprint, which is very, very cool. Going to be very relevant, and I think in Standard, you have lots of lands that you're sacking in the form of deserts, and you get to get those back. You got the guy that makes zombies. There's going to be lots of interesting, cool stuff that you can do. So
I think it's really relevant for the fact that card was $60. So now
Yeah.
it's going to be like 40.
40. Yeah.
Maybe even less.
Probably
it's
less.
really not played that much.
Well, that, and they when they reprint cards in newer sets like these, they really reprint them. There's a lot
The
of them.
good thing is that, there's a lot, but it is a smaller set, though.
Oh, okay.
Core sets are actually smaller. So if this was in a traditional set, it would be
Even more so.
Yeah, it would be bad, but or it would be bad for the value of the card or whatever, or good for the player, whatever you want to look, however you want to look at it. But in a core set, they kind of hold on to some more of the value than normal because people don't play core sets as much, that they're not as popular, and they don't print as many. Yeah. The run is shorter.
Well, and it makes sense because typically they're not as popular to drafts.
Yeah, to me, they're my favorite draft set, though.
Because
they're so simple.
balanced.
Yeah,
simple,
they're just so great.
Um,
and
the-
I'm so bad at draft.
Me too, man, and it feels bad. New Nicol-Backus is cool. Check him out. Infernal Reckoning is cool. Check it out. Johnny, Adversary of Tyrants, a new 4-drop white planeswalker is cool. Check it out.
Check out that new Nickelback song, too. Just kidding. I don't know if that they even. I don't even know if they exist anymore.
I don't really know either.
That was a bad joke. I just heard Nicol-Backus and I was like Nicol-Backus.
All I know is their lead singer has noodle hair.
Yep, noodles. All right, we're gonna get out of here. We love you.
Peace.